Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your host, Kim Wanup. Well, this week I actually took a little vacation, trying to get away from the world for a couple of days. We hit Palm Springs and it was hot as balls out there, but we had a pool and we had some AC, so it was heaven. Just thoroughly enjoyed disconnecting for a couple of days, and if you get an opportunity to do that, I really think you should. I mean, besides this podcast, you should probably still listen to this. This is mellow. This will chill you out. I hope you're well. I hope that everyone's making sure that they're registered to vote by mail, because that might be a little important. I don't know what the date is, the deadline for California, but if you want to register, if you want to vote by mail, you better make sure that that's happening. So in this week, I didn't watch that much TV, and then after I list this list of things that I've watched, you'll be like, what do you mean you didn't watch much TV? I started Castle Rock on Hulu. I'm in. I'm not a huge Stephen King fan, but I'm enough of a fan to appreciate the series. It's pretty good. I mean, they've intertwined like 20 of his novels, and John Locke is in it. I love that guy. And I hope you know who John Locke is, because that was a good little gem I just gave you. I'm only in 3 episodes, but the design is good. It's small town Maine. Well, it's Castle Rock, Maine, actually. But there's a lot of flashbacks, and I feel like the design is done really well. So I'm into it. I watched a bunch of films prepping for an interview that I have later in this week. I'm going to give you a little hint. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'm going to give you a little hint. I'll give you 2. I'm going to give you 2 hints. I'll give you lines from films that this production designer has done. And maybe you can guess it by that. But the first one is I'll Have What She's Having. And the second one is Always Be Closing. Now you got to get one of those. Those were pretty easy. But plenty of great watching trying to prep for this interview. So did a bunch of movies. I also have 1 episode left of the Netflix series Somebody Better Feed Phil. I really like the first 2 seasons. Phil Rosenthal is the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, and he's really funny, and he has these great facial expressions when he eats. I like the show. In season 3, it's a little like, but I did use some of his suggestions when we went to Paris. So I gotta say, he has good places. He has good recommendations on his show. But I don't know, I kind of feel like the food shows and the watching people eat shows might be over. I think we're over that. I think we're done. With everything happening, watching people eat right now, I think we've had enough. But that's just my bad prediction. On this episode, I speak with set decorator Brandi Kalish. I don't remember how we met. I think it was an SDSA meeting, but man, is she super cool. She's so laid back, and she's like stylish, and she really has talent for decorating. I didn't know how she started in this business till this interview, and man, hell of a story there. Wait till you hear that. Brandi was brave enough to take on HBO's Silicon Valley in season 5 and into these massive sets for 5 and 6. So we get into how she has a mentor and production designer, Michael Whetstone, and which is cool. I mean, and appreciated, I would say. She talks in depth about the massive sets for Silicon Valley, balancing a budget with product placement helping along. Also, we dive into her decorating decisions on the popular show Netflix's Dead to Me, which I told you to watch season 2 to prep for this. I hope you did your homework. And we share our thoughts on working day to day in this pandemic and how we think it's going to be. Now listen, in her spare time, Brandi just opened up a prop house. I mean, that's no small feat. She opened up the prop house Studio Arts in downtown LA, which focuses on rental of contemporary art. I looked at the website and gorgeous pieces, beautiful framing. You got to check it out. I've already opened my account, so get on it. I should say, my apologies. The gardener, spent 5 minutes right outside of my window while we were doing this, and my neighbor's car once again revs up, so I edited out as much as I could. There's this weird little thing with Brandi's voice that gets a little speeds up once or twice, but you won't even notice. I shouldn't even have said anything. I hope you enjoy. Work together and you know someone. I never really know, or maybe I don't ask how we all got into this. I mean, we talk about it sometimes, like, oh, like Susan Eschelbach, she's like, oh, I used to be a dancer, and you're like, what? Like,
wait, how did you dance?
Yeah, she was like a ballerina or something, like, miraculous, and I was like, what? Like, that's fascinating. Or, there's other people who went to school for it, there's people who just fell into it, there's people who just followed a passion, so I feel like I always like to hear, and I think, too, people, if someone's listening to this and thinking, how do I get into this? What tools do I need? Do I need this? I think it's a good background because everybody's story is different.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, so does the podcast start now? How do we do it? Or do you edit it? Okay. I was like, what's off the record? What's on the record? Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't know that the position set decorator exists, and that's weird to me. I personally did not know about it until I think I was 21 years old, and the way that I got into the business is basically I was dating someone who worked for the band Korn. Nice. They flew me to New York, and they were doing rehearsals for like a live radio show, and basically it was at the Apollo Theater. So 2 days before the show, the manager of the band was like, hey, you're in art school, like, you're available. We need the stage to look like a Gothic cathedral. Here's 2 phone books. Go to P for Prop House. Here's a phone. Here's a credit card with $130,000 on it. There's a limo out back. Go to all these prop houses and figure it out. Wow. So basically, I went to these prop houses in New York. I did have some guidance, like they had said, we want Persian rugs on the stage and maybe get some chandeliers, whatever. So I, picked all this stuff out and, just made it look the way I thought it would be. Like I got like a church kneeler and stuff like that. And it just turned out really good. And then the manager of the band, he said, hey, I know someone in LA named Michael Whetstone. Why don't, if you're moving to LA, I'll hook you up with him. So that kind of led to me apprenticing for him.
Did you spend all the money?
I can't remember if I spent all the money or not, but
don't
I know
leave any money on the table.
The chandeliers were super expensive.
I mean, that's a big budget for your first out, man.
I know, it was really crazy.
That's awesome. Well, obviously you had a talent for it. You nailed it. It worked. And then even if that guy said, "Hey, here's somebody," and I'm going to give him your name and help you out, you still have to have the talent and like the know-how. Like, you know what I mean? People just don't hire dipshits. Well, some people do, but You can't get away with not having some sort of talent and or drive in our position.
Yeah, it was crazy because then I moved here to LA and then I started working for Michael Whetstone. So then he was doing like stage design and stuff for like Limp Bizkit and Backstreet Boys. And so basically I learned from him, and eventually that grew into, you know, like the stage design grew into music videos. The music videos grew into commercials. And then that's how I got in the union when I was like 24, 25 years old.
You started
doing
out
car commercials and stuff like that.
You started out production really cool. Designing, right?
Well, I started out, you know, obviously like art PAing for Whetstone. Mm-hmm. And then, but that was pre the union stuff. And then, because a lot of the, you know, stage design stuff that we did, that would turn into the music videos. And like, for instance, like the Hughes brothers would do the Korn music video. And then we would do that. And then the Hughes brothers would be like, hey, we're doing an Adidas commercial, or we're doing a Sprite commercial.
Right.
And then we would do that. And then, you know, Whetstone basically trained me to be a set decorator.
That's awesome.
So,
that's such a niche.
It was really cool.
It's such
Wait, say that again?
It's such a niche of like our world. And it's a lot of people don't like cross over then to TV, or a lot of people are like commercial decorators and they stay that, or they, you know, they stay in that course.
Yeah, Whetstone was really progressive. I mean, he eventually ended up doing New Girl, and he's a mentor of mine, and I'm so grateful for him. Like, you know, he was just really smart. He'd be like, here's the Taschen 1,000 Chairs book. Memorize the whole book, Brandi. And then I will flashcard you of what certain pieces of furniture were. Yeah, he still does it today when I see him or work with him. It's really funny. But so I memorized the whole book, and then every time we, you know, were doing something, he'd point at like a Noguchi table and be like, who made that? Or like a Herman Miller, you know, Eames chair or whatever. What year is that? Whatever. So I learned from him, and, you know, we did a ton of stage stuff prior to that, like, and I really got to learn like props and art direction and set decoration and production design. And the production design credits that I have on my IMDb, it's kind of funny. And I tell people this, like, some of that's like from Funny or Die, or, you know, smaller things, but realistically, like, I was just the set decorator, and occasionally would have to build some walls or put in a door or do some sort of facade. But the credit was production designer, but really it was me and like a crew of 3 people. You know what I mean? Like doing everything. Like I was the on-set dresser too, you know? Yes. So, those credits are for that. Like, you know, some of those projects where everybody is just kind of doing everything, and I happen to be the person that's in charge.
Would you wanna design?
Honestly, a lot of people have asked me that, and at one point I had enough hours to be in Local 800, and I deeply thought about it, but, you know, it's so, I could do it. I believe I could do it, but my passion is so deeply based in furniture and decor and lighting and textiles that I just know that my true calling is being a set decorator. Yeah. So, you know, it's something that I've really, like, for the past 20 years of just like honed that skill. And so, you know, I have a lot of respect for production designers that, you know, have just really been so wonderful to me. You know, it's like I look at them and be like, okay, you know, you trust me to make all these decor decisions, and I'm filling the space, this beautiful architectural space that you're designing. You know, it's, I certainly prefer the decorator position, you know, so, but yeah, it was, you know, it was really magical, the process. And, you know, I'm just so grateful to learn from Whetstone Design. You know, there's a bunch of great guys that work there, like Adam Davis. He's an art director, production designer. He did Hunger Games. Like, he was one of the first people there. He inspired me to take the UCLA extension classes on production design and art direction. I did all those when I was younger. He gave me his books from architectural school. I studied them. Marco, he's a set designer. Steve Redmond turned into a director. Whetstone obviously is still a production designer. So Patrick Parker,
God, you had your own
all
little
those people were at Whetstone Design.
You had your own little Bauhaus there of
It was, yeah, it was, and I was the only girl, and I got coffee for them, and I would run to Hennessy and Ingalls for them and get all the books, and then they slowly rose me up into this decorator position, and like I said, helped me get into the union.
I gotta say, when I look at your work, one of the things that I get jealous about is how well you select furniture that complements each other.
Thank you.
Whether it contrasts in color or the shapes and everything, I feel like when I look at your work, especially like Silicon Valley, it just all has such a cohesiveness that you've gotten in there. It's just really beautiful work that you have. Really
Thank you.
Sets.
Silicon Valley is doing season 5, and Rich is just such an incredible, amazing production designer in person, and he really pushed me to take the not safe choice, when set decorating. I mean, I already kind of was like, okay, this is the piece that I'm feeling, and sure, I could choose the more safer option, but Rich was like, no, open the floodgates, do always the unsafe choice. And it's gotten to the point now where now that is part of my look, always choose the unsafe choice, and people react to it, and it creates more of a dynamic set. That is something that if something's really bright in color, don't be afraid of it. Yeah. And obviously there's times to tone back. There's requests, when we're doing our mood boards or reading the script or the look of, the show, where you're okay, this has to be more toned back, and then, more demure or whatever. But with Silicon Valley, it was so fun because the colors, it was just off the chart, and we went up to San Francisco before season 5, and we toured Dropbox and Lyft and all these amazing companies, from little startups to the biggest place, where they just have endless money for decor to do their offices, and got inspiration, and they really, really made bold choices. And the other thing that they did is they went out of their way to find artists to custom make pieces for their tech offices. So that was something that I worked really hard to do on Silicon Valley, is to reach out to these Palo Alto artists or LA artists or New York artists and actually have them make pieces for the set.
Furniture pieces or art pieces?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, for Silicon Valley season 6, that was, the Pied Piper in season 6 was, aside from Rust Fest, the biggest set I've ever done.
Oh my God, it's gigantic. It's gigantic.
Gigantic. When we first walked in there, we were like, oh my God. There's 4 conference rooms, multiple offices, Richard Hendricks, Hero CEO office. I think there was 260 desks in the bullpen area. A second floor, a third floor with outdoor space. It was 4 kitchens, 1 massive cafeteria.
I love those
a
lights.
Game room, a bike area, tech office, or an IT area. It was crazy.
I love those lights that you have hanging in that cafeteria area. That language that it sets up. It's really beautiful, yeah.
Those, so we saw those in a tech office in Marina Del Rey because we, by the time we did season 6, Silicon Beach was here, obviously in full swing. And so we didn't go up to San Francisco to do research because there's so many huge tech offices here. And I had seen those in one of the tech offices in Silicon Beach. So we found them, and they're from Italy, and we ordered them. And they're an example of allocating a certain amount of budget towards something really special that everyone's going to love, and it's going to be dynamic. The DP, etc., will, be pleased with the light as well, and it'll look good on camera. So we allocated a certain amount of budget just for those lights.
Yeah,
you
it
know,
really
it's
defines,
like a throttle
it really
forward
defines
for something like that, throttle back for other things, you know.
The defining of that space is really nice because of the lights, I feel like. I mean, the banquette and everything that's built is nice, but the lights really stand out. Really
they're really interesting, and, you know, we had to... You know, nobody ever thinks about that. It's so much more than just hanging lights. Obviously, it's like...
No, getting all those to stay, like, I'm assuming they would, like, move.
Yeah, they did, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Because they had this weird string contraptment in order to, like, lift them. And we had to use a lot of pipe strut and, you know, have the electricity come down with like conduit and have it look really streamlined from above as well. So when they shot down onto the bullpen, it didn't just look like a big mess of wires.
Did you,
you know, so.
Did you get a lot of product placement help? I mean, it's HBO, which is always nice because you don't have to really deal as you would on, you know, network TV. HBO gives you a little leeway with showing products and everything.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about HBO and Netflix.
It's great.
You know, the whole, like, just that it frees us as artists, as decorators, to really, like, push and make the story, like, as real as possible. I got wonderful product placement from a person named Travis Peters, who he, you know, really helped me and worked with the studio to make sure everything was cleared, but also, like, you know, they're very cool about it. And there's a process, obviously, no matter what. But he really helped, you know, like, and other companies as well, obviously, you know, bring in pop-in furniture, bring in, you know, the Veridesks was a perfect example. You know, we had been working with them for years and they, you know, gave us product placement for those desks. And, you know, just even down to like some of the food items, like I went to Air One and took a bunch of photos because, you know, in the tech kitchens in Palo Alto and Silicon Valley, they eat super healthy and they eat really unique snacks, you know, like they're not like just eating Cheetos, you know.
It's like high-end Cliff bars and...
Kind bars and stuff like that. So, you know, we reached out to like a bunch of different food companies directly and just was like, hey, would you be comfortable with sending us, you know, Asha Pops or these crazy Lotus chips, you know, and things like that to decorate the set. So we had so much product placement, but also we had, you know, to really pay attention to the budget as far as like, okay, so if we're getting this for product placement, this, and this can be, you know, paid for by the budget. These things are not able to get product placement.
No,
but it was really, we needed it for Pied Piper because it was just such a massive set.
Because you had already done a massive set for Pied Piper in season 5, right? I mean, it's like every season they got this new massive like office.
I know, the story kept growing. So in season 5, I think we had 65 Veridesks. And then by the time season 6 came, you know, at the end of season 5, obviously it was this massive warehouse. So by the time season 6 came, it was up to, you know, 260, 300 odd desks. And, you know, every single bit of detail we discussed, had meetings about. Every single piece of art was custom made. You know, we custom made all the banquettes, all the fabric we picked out. You know, it just was, we did a lot of research, obviously, and then would take elements from certain reference photos, and it was really magical. Yeah. Like the banquette in the tech kitchen, you know, we had the back upholstered, and it was, you know, just beautiful plywood, and we would do all these different tricks. Like, for instance, the tables obviously were custom made in the tech kitchen, but then the table bases were just black. So I had seen in a reference photo that this one tech office had dipped the table bases like half white. So we had them all painted half half white, and then we had all of the stools painted green, except for the part where you sit. So we took the furniture that we were buying and then we changed it. So it was really cool. But the part that we upholstered, I found this fabric that we called Tech Picnic, and it reminded us of what was at Dropbox. And we literally barely had enough to do the upholstery. Like, it was so close. It was down to like 2 inches to upholster that with that Tech Picnic fabric. But I knew that was it. And,
it's a great like plaid, but modern, like a modern blue plaid.
It's like a giant Tech Picnic modern plaid in Dropbox style, Pied Piper style. So,
now how long did you have? What was your lead time to do this massive set?
Oh gosh, I think it was 2 months, but we ran into different things that had happened. Like, basically, it's a real building. It was supposed to be Nike headquarters. I think it could even be, or was, I can't really remember, but it was just this big, empty, blank, white space. And so, a lot of things had to be built first. During that time, I spent, doing the big buys and the product placement and really, trying to hone in like the bones of it in every single section. And then, by the time we got right to the end, we really did a big push and got it down. Like, we sat at every single desk, like my set dressers and I, and thought, okay, who sits here? What do they do? What would they what kind of computer would they have? What would they be drinking? What kind of mouse pad would they have?
Are they left-handed? Are they right-handed? Where like, that's what I always think. Like, not every mouse pad has to be on the, the right side, or, like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, Jordan Paul is our technology gang boss. And so he's in charge of making sure every single USB plug and cord and computer is plugged in correctly, because, the people on Reddit and everything were like zooming in on like, oh, this computer's not plugged in, but it's working, or, so obviously that didn't happen to us, but we were, very, very cautious of that to make sure that nobody could ever look at a piece of our technology and say that it wasn't, something that we hadn't researched and plugged everything in. And, so
I think too, because on Veep, we're allowed to see cords and wires to make it more realistic. And I think that also helps our dressing, because so many things have gone away. Like paperwork, like there's not a lot of paperwork. There's no paperwork. Like, I'm looking at your set, like there's hardly any paperwork at all. And, the big, the big parts of the computer all gone. Everything's so streamlined that decorating wise, you're like, oh shit, all right, I got these like 6 elements for a desk. Now what? Now what do I do? Like,
I know. There's no paper in the tech world. And we had a couple copy machines in Pied Piper, but that's it. I mean, there's no paperwork, and there's a lot of USBs, and stuff like that, hard drives. But, fortunately for the tech world, with the research we did, they really decorate their set or their desks. Like, they put little, toys, and they have wild things like taped to their monitors, and they have all sorts of different chair back pads and like, sweatshirts and like different tchotchkes that they put on their desks, and they really get unique with it. And then it also is based off of what they do for Pied Piper. Like, are they more in the creative side? Are they gaming? Are they doing code? Are they more, HR? Like, so it's definitely was all based on what that person did for Pied Piper.
And you have that one office that looks like a total gamer office, which I don't know the character's name, but it has Grillo or Gallo
Games. Yeah, that was a location. I think it was down in Long Beach, but that was one of our first sets we did after Pied Piper, the big Mondo massive Pied Piper for season 6 was done, and that was really edgy. Like, there were like, these cars in the middle of the bullpen, and like, very black and orange and red and stainless steel and glass. And so the CEO of that Galoo Games, we custom built a liquid cooling computer for his, like literally he would have had like top of the line. And, you know, we custom built a computer for him and then got this ridiculously huge monitor that like curves his whole like length of his desk. And that was super fun.
Speakers are great. I mean, you see the character just, that desk dressing is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. There's actually, it's glass and then like the logo of the company is on it, and then all of his tchotchkes and like collectible gamer type things are under the glass, and then he has stuff on top of the glass, and then the crazy monitor. But when we custom built that cooling, you know, glass front computer, we were joking because we were like trying to figure out what color, and we're like, oh, we got to do it blood red, and we were joking, we're like, oh, that's like the blood of the set tech department making the computer run, like as if, you know, we had all put a drop of our blood into that to make it, because
blood, sweat, and tears.
It was really funny, but that was really fun. Again, super bright, colorful, like don't hold back. Like if something's fluorescent green, put it in there. Yeah. So it was really cool.
But then, so you go. It's the thing how quickly we can change up when we move from job to job. Yeah. And you go from like this high-end tech, like sort of minimalist stuff, and then you do like Dead to Me, which is like beautiful homes, and it's a total gear change.
Well, funny, when people like think of a set decorator, they're like, oh, you're like an interior decorator. And then which we are, but then they forget about, oh, you're also doing it all based on a character, which I guess an interior decorator is thinking as their client as a character. I know I do that when I am interior decorating. And then, you know, but we also have to decorate everything else that like, not just beautiful living rooms and bedrooms, like it has to be true to the story. And so Dead to Me is just like obviously a complete shift from tech offices. And you know, we really did a deep dive on research as far as like what homes look like in Laguna. We went to open houses down there, Laguna Beach, did a lot of research on Zillow and, you know, different real estate magazines, because obviously Jen Harding's character is a real estate agent. And what her character, you know, would have as far as a house, and having gone through what she's gone through, having two boys, which, you know, we both know about, and then being a real estate agent, you know, and what she's trying to portray in her life and for clients. So it, you know, very beach-like, but that high-end white contrast. You know, the lighting, I chose a lot of dark lighting, reflective lighting, but a lot of beach colors. So, but modern ones.
It's great because I love to use like Zillow or Airbnb as reference of like, first of all, you can't believe that people are actually asking for money for some of the places.
I know.
But you're like, wait, did you even put new sheets on the bed and you're asking like $150 a night? And you're like, but this is great research for, you know, Kentucky or wherever I'm researching and everything. It's such a great little resource of finding the vernacular of some little towns. It's great.
I know. I absolutely love looking at Zillow and Redfin and like you said, Airbnb. And we actually, like, going back to season 5 Silicon Valley, we toured Airbnb in San Francisco. And I was thinking to myself, what are all these people doing? Right. Like, isn't Airbnb all based off of...
Yeah, what are they doing? Just like...
But they had their own bar. They had their own kombucha. They had a red kombucha made out of, like, goji berries and something else, like crons or something that was... like a Red Bull, but it was called Red Airbnb. and it was like kombucha, and you could just walk up to like there were taps all over the tech office. It was huge. It was like massive.
Well, they're not going to have that now. There's no community coffee now.
No, I know. But it was like, I probably drank like 3 of them, and then like my face turned all red because it was like the strongest like kombucha I'd ever had, But they had like chefs, and just like they'd have like Michelin chefs like guest star on Fridays for I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But they had done this massive green wall when you first walked in, and we had kind of pushed that forward into season 6, and Rich and Jackie had done a green wall with a big neon of Pied Piper for the second story. But yeah, I love traveling, but I love going on Airbnb to look, and that is how we got to where we got for Dead to Me. We really threw ourselves into Laguna Beach and the type of houses that are there for sale, what the vibe is, and her character keeps things very clean, but yet there's still layers sprinkled in there of the 2 boys and her stuff, that she's still has little things in there that not too neurotic.
No. Hey man, I'd live there. That's all I know. I'd live there. Yeah, that's a beautiful house.
Kim, it has been wild. Like ever since season 2 came out, hundreds of fans have found my email and have been emailing me asking, hey, we love the show. Oh my God, like, could you please tell me where the sofa's from Jen's living room? Like, I've been looking for a sofa for 10 years. Like, this is the one I saw. I knew right away. Like, do you mind sending me where it's from? Hey, Brandi, we love the sheets on Jen's bed. Like, where are those from? Like, I want to buy those right now. Or where are these bedside tables from? Or where's the rug from? Or where's it just literally hundreds. Like,
it's great.
It's super cool. And I've been answering everyone. I do like 12 to 20 people a day. And, I just go back through my notes and be like, oh, the sofa's from Lambs Plus. I think 20 people have bought the Lambs Plus sofa that I got for Jen's living. I'm not even kidding.
I get emails about different things and what's the paint color on, Good Place, and even like what's the font. But I feel like the most consistent thing I've been asked for over the years is like, where did you get that blanket on Brennan's sofa, like in her office on Bones? And I'm like, hey man, that was 10 years ago or 12 years. Like, you're not getting that. It was a Bed Bath. Like, you're not getting that now. Sorry.
I know. There was something one of the fans asked recently, and I was like, oh God, I don't think they have it anymore. I think it was the bedside tables. They were from Living Spaces, and it was just one of those impulsive moments. Like, I saw them. I was like, there they are. Okay, because when I'm out, like running around and the buyers are running around, and I have in my head, like after doing all of the research and everything and having all the meetings and talking to the production designer, like I go out in the world, or, the buyers do, and they start showing me photos. And then the minute I see it, I know it, and that's it. And then the ball kind of starts rolling. And that's what happened with those bedside tables. And I'm pretty sure they were on clearance at Living Spaces.
I am kind of the same way of like being very decisive when I see something like, all right, done, check. I'm done. That was it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about it again because, and I get stuck sometimes when I do rethink things, and I'm like, no, you already found it. You found it. It's done. Like, that's good. That's perfect. Your instinct was there. Just go with it.
Yeah, that's basically the same. Once I see it, I'm like, there it is. Boom. If it's a big piece, it helps like get the ball rolling for the rest of the set. Sometimes it's like a lamp, and then everything else kind of happens around it.
Yeah.
But it will happen either through the buyers, showing me photos of what they've seen, through direction of, hey, go here, go there, or by something I see online, or by something I see in person. So but the response to Dead to Me has just been incredible. And I'm just so honored that the fans even reach out and ask these questions. And I'm definitely going to respond to everybody because, that's why we do this.
Yeah, no, and people, it's nice when people take an interest, and it's almost like decorating from afar, like you're helping them out, you know? I mean, like...
Yeah, no, for sure, and, it's been an honor, doing Dead to Me 2, season 2 was, great. We put the house back together, and we had a lot of new sets, but just with quarantine and everything, it's like it kind of came out in the middle of this, and so many people were excited to see something new, and
I zipped right through it. Cool. I think it took me like a weekend. I zipped through it.
I know. It's funny. Even when I watch it, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Even though I know what's happening, like I enjoy watching it. So that, and of course, like while I'm watching it, I'm like, thinking of different things that had happened that day, or, oh my God, I could relive your whole life over more.
Like, oh, I remember that day. I remember that set. Like, oh, that was an early wake up, or God, I remember that chair didn't show up, or.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Like it's, every day is steeped in something that happened or, some big moment. And when you're watching that, people don't realize there's a whole crew of people with families and everything that are making that happen. And Emily Schaefer, who is one of my buyers at Julie Mo Quinn's, another one of my buyers, wonderful, talented artist, hummingbirds. I mean, they literally can find anything. And, so Emily and I, we've been working together for a long time, and we had, really talked about doing a contemporary art rental prop house, basically, because obviously there are wonderful vendors out there, and we use them tons, and we're going to continue to use them tons, but we were not finding the art that we were always looking for. Hence season 6, Silicon Valley, I had to custom make all the art.
I mean, it's hard to replenish too, and some prop houses have fantastic pieces, and it's hard to replenish when you don't have the room. And then, like, say they get rid of a piece and you're like, man, I wish you still had those pieces because I need a hospital room set, or, it's hard. It's very hard to curate prop houses.
Yeah, so we've been working on it for quite a while, and then about, I've been in a time warp with this quarantine, but I would say like a good solid 6 to 8 months ago, like we had been working on like everything to get it to the point to then make it into, reality, like a 3-dimensional real place. So then, obviously we were working as well, which, so we took no days off, like, the Kanye West thing, like, gonna take no days off till my spaceship takes off. Like, we just took no days off and just pushed through, and had been collecting pieces. Obviously this is something Emily and I have paid for and done on our own, so there's that risk there. And we just talked about it a lot and really planned as much as we could. We started looking for spaces, and we ended up landing on the place that we have now at the brewery, Artist Lofts downtown. It's more of a commercial space that's like right in the front on Main Street.
I love the brewery. I've gone there so many times to purchase artwork from independent artists, and they have that like artist walk, I think twice a year. Gosh. It's the best.
I know, I love it. It's the best. And they got the food trucks, and Emily also resides there, so she knows tons of artists as well. But just doing Silicon Valley season 6, and then obviously Dead to Me, and Silicon season 5. But, for that big Pied Piper office, I commissioned all those pieces and, just met so many artists. And there's a whole nother slew of things that goes into that. It's not as simple as just, oh, I like this person's art, I'm going to call them and buy some. There's clearance, there's legal stuff, so we had to really learn about all that stuff as deeply as possible and make sure that everything was done, correctly, and then find a space. And once we found the space, like our whole family came out over Christmas and worked around the clock, literally like from 7 a.m. until like 9 p.m, redoing the space at the brewery. Like, we tore out the bathroom, put in a new bathroom, like painted everything, just cleaned really, really reinforced stuff and cosmetically fixed things. And then we moved everything in, and, we got a lot of help from our family and our friends, and, we had walls built.
That's so nice.
By construction. So many people have helped us, and, obviously we're just so grateful. And then we opened 3 weeks before the shutdown. I think it was like second week of February. We had many accounts like open at that point. I believe you were one of them even. And then that Friday, the 13th on March, we had orders going out. Like, we had rented some stuff, but literally had just opened. So, we don't know what, when the world is going to be back to the way it was prior, but we're definitely not going to quit. And it's like a treasure trove of art. Like, as a decorator, every time I go there, I'm like, oh my God, like, this stuff is amazing. Like, I can't wait for everybody to rent this, because every single piece Emily and I picked out, and then we framed it with non-reflective plexi, and we picked out the frames, and nothing was done hastily. Like, we were very, passionate, and, would this piece rent? Where would this piece go? Would it go in a commercial? Would it go in a, modern loft?
So,
and really tried to pick pieces that were versatile.
Do you, and that's one of the things that I feel like, I give up, because you're like, okay, because there's certain prop houses where you can go to get, like I was saying, like hospital rooms, and that's a different kind of artwork than that's going to go into Hooli. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And the framing has to be different. And sometimes you find the right print and you ask, like, can we reframe this? And I mean, did you say to yourselves, all right, we're gonna start with modern art, and we're going to go like this, and then maybe we branch out? Or did you say, like, I want to do pieces of every sort of sets? Like
I definitely, because we are a contemporary art rental gallery, we, as of right now, I mean, the future, who knows, but, like, we are contemporary art. So that was the thing that I felt was lacking. And there's, wear and tear and all that stuff. But as of right now, there are literally like a zillion pieces of art and custom pillows and some furniture and decor just sitting there waiting to be rented. So as of now, we are continually making and collecting contemporary art. So, that's our focus as of right now. And we have some lighting too. Like, we have 30 different cartel lights, the battery operated ones that are like impossible to get from Italy. And, DPs love them, and they're beautiful, and you can just put them on a table in a nice restaurant and hit a button and boom, so there's certain things that I just knew I could never find at the prop houses.
So smart.
We got. So, but it's just been, really, really cool. I love art. I love helping artists. A perfect example of how art can really make a set is Dead to Me. The big blue painting in Jen's room.
Yeah.
That artist, she called me like last week and said she's basically sold out her whole gallery.
Fantastic.
And that makes me like, that's like one of the best parts of being a decorator. Because it's just like, this is amazing. Like, so many people also have wrote me regarding the blue painting, and it's actually called Lucky Charms. So, but
appropriate.
Sheila Olsen, she's sold a ton of paintings that are the Dead to Me paintings, and it's just really cool.
I really salute you for like taking that under, because number one, it's a resource that I need. So I thank you for that. But also, I know how hard that splitting your time, plus you're a mother, I mean, split it, just divvying up your time to this, and the passion you must have to make this come true. I mean, I really commend you for that. It's a huge job.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I watched before it was not this last Emmys, but the Emmys prior when we were both nominated. And I believe you won that year. That was amazing. Or maybe it was the year prior that you won. And then, God, I can't remember, but I just know we were both there. And I was like really nervous before we were at the hotel, and my husband put on Joe Rogan and Elon Musk was being interviewed. And he talked about time management and like how you allocate your time. Like to do, he was like, dude, how do you do SpaceX? And how do you do, the Boring Company? And how do you do Tesla? And I remember watching that before we went into the Emmys and thinking, if he can do all those things, not that I'm comparing myself to Elon Musk, but you know what I mean?
You are.
I can open this prop house.
Yeah.
Be a mother, be a wife, and be a set decorator and be good at all of them. Because, so that was something that I really listened to, and I was like, okay. So, it's been like it now when I go down to Studio Arts, I'm like, I'm so proud. I'm like, I can't believe that we have done this, although now there's a pandemic, but we're not, going to quit or anything. Yeah. Like if anything, the sky's the limit with that. So,
and I think too, you're going to be a manager. You're going to be overflowed with people coming in once we get back up. I mean, that's the thing, is like, it's going to be I think it's going to be so busy.
I do too. And the cool thing about, that we're, obviously not the size of like a Modernica or anything yet, but, we have a lot of stuff and we can sanitize everything, and the doors like boom right there and you can just load everything out. And we have our process, that we're going to have, to make sure everything's safe. And we have a manager there, John, and, he's been very helpful. So we have a full-time person and, everything's barcoded and everything's on the website, so it's like that was a lot. Like a lot of people don't think about that.
Oh my God,
like,
it's
we
so
really,
much work.
Really, deeply wanted to make it as simple as possible for the set decorators and buyers and set dressers.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So,
I'm so
excited.
happy for you. I'm so happy for you. It's such a huge undertaking. So I'm so happy that it just said a little bit of a startup, and then like boom, you're gonna have a big startup. Don't worry.
I hope so. Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited for the future. I know it's going to be a big log jam of work, hopefully, and I can't believe that our entire IATSE union is not working right now, but I have faith. I mean, the people in our unions are like the hardest working people in the world. And I feel like they kind of, if you want to work in Hollywood, like people kind of gravitate here and then they give it a try. And if they have that work ethic.
Yeah. It's sink or swim, really. It really is.
It really is.
Although a lot of people fail up. There's sink or swim, and then there's like
with anyone that fails up. But
I've met plenty of people who fail up in this business, and you're like, how are you in charge of this? Or how did you who did you blow? Or who did you blow to get this position? And it's few, but when you run into someone like that, you're like, whoa, how did this happen? I
feel like that's being weeded out, like,
I do too.
There's the old Hollywood,
I think it's fewer.
Like
yeah, I do.
But it's being weeded out. Like, and also there's no more like yellers or mean people like as much anymore. Like, I feel like back in the old times, like everyone would say, oh, that director, he screams at everyone or whatever. Like, I feel like the world is becoming more caring. I know that sounds crazy, and Hollywood is too. And they're like, you can, like, if you're just positive with someone, even if they make a mistake, and you just kind of own what you're doing, even if you don't know, like, I feel like people are more, they'll work so hard for you, and I'll work so hard for them if everyone's just treated with respect, and, the work ethic's already there because you're working in Hollywood, but, I
think you're right, but I think you're onto something in the sense of, like, how maybe an older generation was yelled at and beat, where we were told, like, I'm so disappointed in you, and then we just broke down or something.
Yeah, I'm like a habsy. I think you are too. Like, I was raised up in this industry, like, in the more, like, hardcore.
Yeah. Oh, I had yellers. I have people made me cry. Like, no.
Yeah, there's no crying in baseball. No. That's what Weston used to say. I mean, literally, like, you know, and now, like, I see the younger people coming. I'm like, okay, like, we got #MeToo now, you know, like, things are going to be a little better for them, I hope, you know, like, where back in the day you're on a music video, you know, like, one time I was asked to be, I won't say the music video.
I've heard people in music videos used to get paid in blow.
Yeah, well, yeah, I will never forget, like, this one video girl or whatever didn't show up, and they were like, you need to get in this lingerie right now and get in this bed and be in this music video. And I was like, I am the set decorator. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Like, and they were like, no, baby girl, you need, and I'm like, no, I'm not kidding.
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's back when, you know, I was younger. You know, and I had a baby back then.
Girl, they'd ask you to do that now. You're hot.
Like you.
They'd ask you to do that now. You're hot.
Well,
you could still be in a music video.
Still get in lingerie and get in a music video. Okay.
They put that on your plate. There's your next challenge. Music video.
Awesome. But yeah, I mean, back when I was doing music videos and stuff, like, I literally would just, like, bring Odell to the parking lot of the production office and have his babysitter, you know, one of my friends, come meet me and just hand him over for the day, and then work all day and then go pick him back up, you know. And thankfully, you know, we have gaps.
Yeah, we do now. I mean,
commercials, and then I'd have time off. But
do you think our position is gonna change radically for the next couple months?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see a lot of working at home just to, like, gear back up. And then, you know, obviously we have to be so careful. Like, you know, my lead man and I have talked about it so much, like, how are we going to do this? Like, and how can we keep everybody safe? You know, your core 10 people, your core 8 people. And it's going to be interesting. Like, everybody has ideas. I've seen 1,000 guidelines on all of the forums. You know, but I'm going to stick to, you know, when we do get back to work, the guideline of the people that I'm working with and the studio that I'm at that moment, you know, and just be really respectful to, you know, naturally to the whole process. And, you know, we're going to learn as we go.
Yeah.
Because,
I think, you know, I think that's what it's going to be.
Care about the vendors. I care about my crew. I care about, you know, everybody. And I just want to make sure that, I mean, hopefully they'll give us enough time to make these beautiful sets before we were more squeezed for time, and then sanitize it, and then they can shoot it, you know, and then we can maybe go in, you know, levels, I guess. But
I think that's probably what's going to have to be in less locations or no locations at all until, you know, we get, and then I think we're going to be screwed. I think, at least for me, I think it's going to be like, oh, you were on stage for 3 months. Well, now we have, you know, 600 locations to shoot for, like, the next 3 months. So
yeah,
I mean, I hope that there's a massive rewrite going on my show that we won't have to do that. And I think that will happen on a lot of shows, that you just have to take your set count down, unfortunately, just for a little bit, people. But I think you have to, for safety wise, and to keep control of, you know, variables that are uncontrollable.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how this works, because, you know, I just think about, like, people that are going to be on the trucks, or are they going to follow a truck in their own car?
I know,
and then where do they park? Like, imagine going to Warner Brothers and having 4 set dressers follow a 5-ton in their own cars. And, you know, it's going to be interesting. And then also, like, as far as providing options, you know, like, for instance, I've worked with a client over this break to help him, you know, get furniture for his house. And, it's taken 2.5 months for him to get drapery from Crate and Barrel, so it's just because it's run, like certain things have happened where, their shipping warehouses are down, and I'm curious how that, I think it's going to be a lot of prop houses because they're a sure thing and they're going to be open and the pieces are going to be there, rather than having to order something and take that risk that it might not show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but, that poses other problems too, because, then our dressers are going in and out of prop houses. I mean, I guess I just wish there was a way that, we all could have like swab tests that were instant, and then we could all just do one every day and then know, okay, you're good. All right, go do your thing, and just be safe.
But then what I keep thinking of is, okay, so say your lead man has a temperature in the morning. Well, then what? Then you don't have a lead man for the day, or like, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, we all work through a lot and get shit done when probably we should stay home a lot of times.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially decorators. And we keep our distance and we do what we got to do. But if there's like this mandate of like, hey, you got a 99 temperature, well, then how, like, or what if it's our buyers? Like, I don't know, or it's me.
Gosh.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know how do you regulate that? I don't know. It's really scary.
I guess just communication and being honest, like if that happens, then we have to communicate, hey guys, I'm down a buyer today. So if the amount of options, I might not have as much. I don't know. That's something I actually hadn't really thought about. But, we're all just, our core team of people, we're all just going to have to really work together by not being together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if something, lead man had a temperature, God forbid, then the gang boss would have to step up for the day, or, and then there's the question of like, oh, well, it's got to be less people. Well, or more people, but just not people that are going to be coming into the office, or, like more people working, because it's going to take longer because there's a line to get into Target.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I know. The whole like sending people to shop now, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good, because I mean, I feel like the lines have gone down, at least food shopping wise. I haven't obviously been to like store. Well, I've been to Target.
Sure.
I've been to Target, but, and there's lines, and then you have to, like, it already takes a long time to go to the store and then get all your shit and load your car and come back to the lot. Like,
and wipe everything down after.
Yeah. I don't even know. I don't know.
So it might take more people. I don't know, so I think it's going to be like learning as we go and communicating and trust and just really saying, hey, so today we had 5 pickups. There was no appointment available at this one vendor because they were so booked. So now those pickups will not be available till tomorrow,
Yeah.
And then just communicating and kind of work, like maybe instead of saying like set has to be done by this day, it's like the set needs to be done by this day, but there's like a week cushion in there or something. I don't know. That's just a thought to try and get it done. But I know that the people in our industry, and especially in set decoration and the art department, are some of the hardest, most talented, smart people on earth. So I know we can figure it out and do it safely.
Yeah.
So there's, and once things start happening and people become more trusting of the process, and hopefully we get to the point where there's testing and, I guess a vaccine, we'll see, imagine what we're going to be talking about a year from now to today, we're going to be in a year from now, we're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe we went through that.
During all this time off, have you watched anything, that's been inspiring or really good?
It's funny. Like, I have been watching a lot of YouTube stuff. Like, this sounds so corny, but I've been watching this YouTube star. Her name is Laziki. I hope I'm saying it correctly, but she is like a rural farmer in China. And she is literally one of YouTube's like biggest stars, like, I guess, or, like most followers. But I kind of stumbled across her, and there's no talking or anything. There's just like music, and it's these beautiful shots of like her farming and making, growing cotton and then hand making a mattress, or like, embroidering this beautiful like silk, traditional embroidery, or making tofu or soybean paste or dried persimments,
oh my God.
So I've been watching that. I've watched like 50 of those.
She's a doer.
Every night I put them on and I just zone out, and it's because we did a garden, the kids and I, over this quarantine, and it's just funny. Like, that's kind of how I stumbled across it. And then as far as like inspiring, and I know what you mean as far as like sets, but I've been watching a lot of documentaries, and I watched The Last Dance for
oh my God,
Michael Jordan.
I can't stop talking about it. I might rewatch it. I love it.
So that's what I'm inspired.
Yes. Yeah.
About, like, when I watched that, I was like, talk about Elon Musk, I was like, oh my gosh, like, he literally, his attitude was like, I'm going to win and I'm going to show you guys, like, not that but it's like, I knew that about Jordan, but I've never seen someone like Tom Brady. Obviously, that's another person that had that mentality, and obviously Kobe as well, but like, Jordan was just, they doubted him. They were like, "Oh, you're only 6'6", like that." But he so inspiring.
So many things that he had to go through, of like just the team, just the inner drama of that team. I mean, it's crazy.
Like the crew.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. That's like what it's like. A basketball team is like a Celtic crew. Yeah. It's like, you guys are all relying on each other. We got to get this. We have to win. We like, so when I was watching that, I was like, oh my God, he's just like obstacle after obstacle. Like, this is what it's like to be a Celtic, right? Obviously not, but
there is that. I was talking about this too. There's that one scene where I think it's 97 when they win the championship, and he's in the locker room just moaning and crying and wailing, and I broke down like, oh my God, I've been there, good or bad. Like, it's not a good or a bad cry, but you've been there, of like the release, and it was like
the release. Yeah.
Oh, it
was amazing. I know. Amazing. I was like, holy crap. I had no idea. I was super young I think I was in like junior high, and my dad took me to a Pistons game before the Bulls reign. And so, like, for me, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I get this, why my dad had taken me down to Detroit because I'm from Northern Michigan. And I remember prior to Rodman going to the Bulls and everything, going to these games. And at one point, I somehow ended up on the court after the game and had Isaiah Thomas and Dennis Rodman and John Sally. And I have this like program still. It's in one of my built-ins that has all their autographs on it.
That's
like
fantastic.
Super ratty. But that more than anything, like that kind of stuff has been what I've been watching, and obviously Dead to Me.
Yeah.
Watch that. But, I've just, I love that stuff. And I've been watching like older things too, like Gremlins.
Yeah.
And like, just
ones.
weird stuff like that, like Overboard.
I love that. I could watch Overboard a million times. I love
Devil
Overboard.
Wears Prada, like just stuff like that if it comes on. But I want to watch Bombshell.
It's good.
I'm sure. Like, Ellen's amazing, and I want to see that. And
I actually thought story-wise, the Showtime Russell Crowe was better, but I liked Bombshell. It was good. See, isn't she cool? I really like that she tried to just glaze over that she was dating the guy from Korn. I mean, what luck that was to just be handed a credit card. But like I said, I mean, it's not really luck, because it's really talent and timing. Because if she had sucked at it and blew it, they wouldn't have given her another job, or they wouldn't have recommended her. So she has the talent. It was talent and timing. Again, sorry about the gardener. I tried to edit that out. I hope it wasn't too bad. But soon enough, hopefully, I'll have a quiet little office so I can get back to interviewing. And then, again, the prop house that Brandi is opening is called Studio Arts, and it's studioartsllc.com. You can check that out. You can also check out Brandi's website at brandikalish.com. I really like her website. Thank you to Brandi, and fingers crossed for that last season of Silicon Valley with an Emmy nod. If you are a voting member, voting for the first round starts July 2nd to the 13th. So, what was that? Oh, yes, actually I do. I do have a show eligible for Emmy voting this year. It is the final season of The Good Place. So, it's so funny you ask. I do have a show that's contending. In fact, in 2 weeks, you will hear myself and the production designer Ian Phillips, the art director Adam Rao, the prop master Gabe Perillo, and graphics designer Graham Radcliffe talk about our episode that we submitted, the finale. We talk about every set, we watched it together, and there may have been some tears, but a lot of good memories. It's a good podcast. It's like a little family getting together and reminiscing. It's good. Next week, I also have Brian Stonestreet, who has been nominated for prior Emmy Awards for his design on the Grammys and Golden Globes and more. I mean, that guy, man, the talent he has seen and has designed sets for it blows my mind. When I was interviewing him, I couldn't even grasp how many artists he has seen, like doing the Grammys for years. My God, it's incredible. And then I also have, coming up, set decorator Don Deers, who has been nominated for his work on the Muppets, and we'll talk about his current series on Showtime, Kidding, which is also eligible for Emmys. So I have some great interviews to help make your decisions. Just checking those little boxes. That's me. I'm here to help. Click, click. Speaking of clicking, did you review the podcast yet? Did you write a review yet? I don't know. Maybe you should. Maybe you should just go scroll down to the bottom of this iTunes page, and it's there. Write a review. Just click 4 or 5 stars. 5 stars. That'd be great. I'd really appreciate it. I'm Kim Wanup. I hope you got an earful. What are you floating on this summer? I hope it's a Stogie Floaty. Stogie Floaty luxury pool floats. Available now on Amazon, Etsy, and StogieFloaty.com.